Well, a very good evening and thank you so much for joining us for a live subsequent bulletin. My name is Carol Tumwina. Welcome to Select News. Let's take a look at our headlining stories tonight.
In our headlining stories tonight, Robert Chagulanyi's election petition withdrawal case has been extended to Friday. Government of Uganda launches Earth Hour campaign imposing a total ban on single use of plastics. In business, Uganda kicked out of COMESA. And in sport, journalists give their opinion and take on sacking of the Cranes head coach John McKinsky. This and many more coming up in Select News tonight.
Into it straight away with our first story tonight, where Robert Chagulanyi's election petition withdrawal request case has been extended to Friday after the court received information that their practicing certificate has expired. Let's take a look at the story.
The case started with defendants spilling the beans over Chagulanyi's lawyers' expired practicing certifications.
My Lord, we are looking at this section as an avenue that the court may use under its general powers granted to it by the
and give audience to counsel who does not have the certificate? Is that what you're suggesting?
No. In the alternative, my lords, of course, we are going to suggest that if this court deems it fit, and on the assumption, as counsel has already said, on the assumption that the only item remaining was the registrar giving him clearances, that is presupposing that he has done everything else that needs to be done prior to that, then of course, my lord, we would have no objection to a short adjournment for him to finalize with the registrar, and that this court resumes.
The lawyers in the defense asked the court to allow time for them to acquire temporary certificates.
Learned Counsel Lubega, how many people represent the petitioner? I see only two of you today. Three?
No,
I mean on the record. How many?
For today, my lord, in this particular application, we are three.
So henceforth, you intend that three of you prosecute the petition to the end now?
Yes, my lord.
Okay. Learned Attorney General, this is the position of court.
The Chief Justice Alfonso Owenyidolo did not fret but rather allowed them till Friday 9 a.m. to have the documents availed.
We think it would be unfair to the petitioner applicant to seek to bend the law. We would want to accommodate him, yes, but we, even in using our inherent power, which is conferred on us, the proper thing we'll do, which is the directive we are giving, we give you up to 5 o'clock today to obtain practicing certificate. And we're making it easy for you, in case you are not yet done the other things which are required. I'm directing the Chief Registrar to give you temporary practicing certificate that will expire on the 18th of this month for purposes of prosecuting this petition.
According to the law that governs the lawyers, each lawyer is supposed to have a practicing certificate which expires on 31st December of every year. Robert Chagulanyi earlier on explained in detail the rationale behind his pulling out of the election petition that he had presented defying the recently concluded election results that saw Museveni win with 58%, his solution being People's Court. Hasif Sechunga, 4S TV.
Now, there are concerns that the labor exploitation workers are tortured and sometimes murdered. Labor exploitation in Uganda is still being subject to investigation and treated with skeptics among countrymen and the government alike. Registered companies put the blame on non-registered companies functioning illegally and unable to offer protection to their clients. Let's take a look.
Most of the cries that you see on social media are as a result of trafficking.
Labor exploitation in Uganda has and is still being subjected to investigations and treated with skepticism among countrymen and the government alike, with the concerns that these workers are tortured and sometimes murdered. Registered companies have put the blame on the non-registered companies functioning illegally, able to offer protection to their clients. These allegations keep taking new twists and turns, with reports indicating illegal companies are owned by government officials who are unable to clean their mess up.
The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has so far licensed 210 companies. These are companies that have been given the liberty to externalize labor. So of the 210 companies, we have suspended 9 of them.
A bilateral agreement is signed between two working countries to ensure safety of these laborers, but what is not enough?
The Ugandan who is seeking to work abroad needs to find out which companies have been licensed by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Why is that you hear most? That somebody has stayed for 4 days without eating, somebody is being mistreated, somebody is being beaten, somebody is being harassed, somebody is being sexually abused. These are as a result of human trafficking. And that is really a thorn in the flesh.
And if the question of whether to continue doing business in countries without Ugandan embassy, among the many challenges is corruption and fraud caused by bureaucracy, how is the government planning to put an end on this?
More people to enable the monitoring of externalization of labor, that's one. 2, the ministry is working with security organs to fight the vice of trafficking in persons.
According to the Ministry of Gender and Labour, so far 210 labour export companies have been registered, while 9 of these have been shut down. The question that still remains unanswered is government's knowledge about labour export companies and whether informed decisions are being taken. Asif Sechunga for Race TV.
Let's move to our next story, where government of Uganda, in conjunction with the Buganda government and other civil society organizations, have launched an Earth Hour campaign imposing a total ban on single use of plastics with major aim of conserving the environment. Let's take a look.
A news conference at Uganda Media Center during the launch of the Earth Hour campaign, General Katumba Wamala, the Minister of Works and Transport, who also doubles as the Chief Commissioner of Scouts, revealed that Earth Hour is aimed at rallying Ugandans to take actions and save the environment from degradation. General Katumba Wamala noted that Ugandans should embrace planting trees and cleaning up the environment of the plastic waste.
The Chief Commissioner of Scouts, Country Director, as we are talking, I was looking at that bird there, the Karori, and seems it was listening very, very attentively on how are we protecting them, because among the endangered species is one of them, and yet they are very vital in our environment, in ensuring that our environment is cleaned up.
General Katumba Wamala appealed to Ugandans to unite across their political, tribal and cultural social difference and embrace the Earth Hour campaign.
The Earth Hour, we are calling upon all Ugandans to join us, the Scouts movement and WWF, in their localities, in your localities, where you are, even as you walk back to your offices today. If you find a plastic bottle somewhere, please pick it. Pick it and put it where it is supposed to be. If you find a kavera, please pick it.
The Minister of Environment from Buganda Kingdom, Hajat Mariam Mayanja Nkalubo, revealed that Buganda Kingdom supports the conservation of the environment because its culture was built on the basis of nature.
Obwakabaka bwaffe buyitibwa culture bwaffe bwaki bwa buwangwa bwe bw'obuwangwa bubeera ku buwangwa bwaffe butandikira kufa abantu tusigala tuli bantu nga tuli mu bwakabaka buno mu ngeri yonna, oba oli muteesa oba oli muki oba oli muganda osigala nga bw'oli.
David Dury, the executive director of Worldwide Fund for Nature, revealed that the Earth Hour campaign will run under the theme of Keep It Green and Clean, through which they will mobilize Ugandans to plant trees in order to address the rapid deforestation.
Again, we see that the nature loss is not only a saying, but we see it happening here. What is happening to our wetlands? What is happening to our forests? Just yesterday, we were celebrating the UN World Wildlife Day. We had statistics that were shown to us on the loss of forests around. The Commissioner of Scouts is with us here. Besides, he's also a general. So a general to mobilize us in this campaign. And this is going to be a unique one. It's going to be very unique because the Scouts are also made of young people.
Dr. Maggie Chigozi, the chairperson of the Uganda Scouts Association, revealed that they will use their scouting structures to mobilize Ugandans to plant trees, especially fruit trees.
Gender. I think Chief Commissioner is a general, is a minister, but I'm his Chief Scout, and he's okay with that. So we encourage gender equality, and we encourage girl scouts to achieve all opportunities that are possible. We have Carol here. She's in charge of training and does wonderful work in the prisons. You see, he's actually the head of the prisons department. So, David, we want to promise you, we bring in the prisoners to plant trees. We will be able to do that. They are scouts. They are prisoners.
National Forest Authority will support the Earth Hour campaign by leading the tree planting activities during the campaign, which will run for the next 25 days. Hosna Afet, Edith Nabagerika, Select News.
Now, the Anti-Corruption Unit, which was commissioned by the President to investigate corruption cases in this country, has come out to address the increasing rate of corruption, including embezzlement and forgery. While addressing the media fraternity, the head of the ACU, Lieutenant Colonel Edith Nakalema, has said they are working together with police to bring to book all the fraudsters.
The Anti-Corruption Unit, which was commissioned by the President to investigate corruption cases in the country, has come out to address the increasing rate of corruption, including embezzlement and forgery. While addressing the media fraternity, the head of the Anti-Corruption Unit, Colonel Edith Nakalema, has said that they are working together with the police to bring to book all the fraudsters, with 19 already apprehended in a period of 2 months. Colonel Nakalema highlighted the challenges embedded in fight against corruption. She also urged Ugandans to call the toll-free corruption line to report cases of corruption. The Assistant Police Spokesperson Kampala Metropolitan Luke Owesigile released a list of some of the worst fraudsters in the country. It should be noted that Kano Edith Nakalima has always been hands-on against corruption, and since her nomination as the head of State House, Anti-Corruption Unit, a number of government officials have been apprehended for corruption-led activities. Maria Dana Namido for Select News.
You're watching Select News with me, Caro Tumwine. Let's take a very short break and return with more stories.
STV Select for Fun.
All right, welcome back from that break. Now, residents of Chikoza and Lueza villages in Mukono district have expressed strong worry and fear caused by the poor state of their roads, which they say are puddled with cracks and potholes that have made it extremely difficult for them to commute from home to work.
Residents of Chikoza and Lueza villages in Mukono district have expressed strong worry and fear caused by the poor state of their roads, which they say are puddled with cracks and potholes and have made it extremely difficult for
Bange kubo lino likolebwa lirongoosebwe abatuuze b'oluguudo b'ennabuti n'abatuuze abalala bayita mu kubo lino babeere nga basobola okuba nga bayita awantu awalungi kuba amazzi mangi ate ebigoma ebiriwo tebimala mazzi.
The residents have several times talked to their leaders to come out and help them, and they've also several times revealed that some of the roads that unite the villages are in a poor state, yet many have to rely on them for transportation.
kubanga bagajjamu ne bagalinnyamu ne bagazanyiramu obukalu obubiri kubantu batusobola batwala kuyita mu mazzi gaba mangi nga gatitse.
They're now calling onto the government to help repair some of the roads that are in a very bad state, since this has also put their lives in danger. Among the challenges they encounter with the roads is its poor state after or during a heavy downpour. These residents have now decided to work together on the road construction, although they lack the basic road repairing equipment.
nezigenda nezikulukuta bikajeyo nebazikwatira n'abantu be balo n'omwana yagenda nakulukuta paka mu kameri wansi so abantu bano wali sorted abantu baffe batubadde tusuubira nti bajja kutukolera tebasobola
Enyinza okuba linaleeta mukyala wange tugenda mu ddwaliro naye nga tetulinayo tuyita kwegamba tuli mu kubonaabona enkuba yo weeba etonnye teri kusaba kwegamba n'amakyaki gonna enkuba egayita mu isi kati waliyo yeewano ttaka naye kwegamba ye yayiwa buyi kuyisaawo kiki naye ffe tetusinga ngeri gyetusobola agamba nti kwegamba tumugambe wetu tikuba tusinga tetubeerawo bubeezi kulaba bulabi naye nga amazima embeera mbi gavumenti eveeyo etuyambe weba esobola otuyamba n'abakulembeze baffe fe twalonda nabo kibakwatako kuba nabo bakiraba tuli mu kubonaabona amazzi gatuyingira mu mayumba.
According to the village secretary Fred Magero, tensions are now high in the two villages and that residents are worried that the road's state could lead to the spread of diseases.
Kubanga abantu naddala ababoda bafunira wakisinde ebigoma ebiriwo tebimala olw'obujjuzo bw'amazzi obuvaayo waggulu mu mukono yonna okuva mu kame bale wonna wonna amazzi ago gakuŋŋaani.
Vincent Tukole, the chairman of Lueza, on the other hand, has continued to appeal to the government for more assistance. Genesis Namale, STV Select News.
We hope their leaders find it in their hearts to help them with this situation. Thank you so much, Genesis Namale. Now, internationally, with Adams Mayambala, at least 38 people were killed in Myanmar on Wednesday in what the UN described as the bloodiest day. Since the coup took place a month and witnesses say security forces opened fire with rubber and live bullets, mass protests and acts of civil disobedience have been seen across Myanmar since the militarized seized power on 1st of February. It from our international scene with Adams Mayambala. Now let's take a look at our global exploration, where we explore the world and different things that concern it. Today we take a look at elephants and their lifestyle.
Elephants are the largest land animals on earth and have distinctly massive bodies, large ears and long trunks. They use their trunks to keep up objects, trumpet warnings, greet other elephants, or suck up water for drinking or bathing, among other uses. Both male and female African elephants grow tusks, and each individual can either be left or right tusked, and the ones they use more is usually the smaller because of wear and tear. Elephant tusks serve many purposes. These extended teeth can be used to protect the elephant's trunk, lift and move objects, gather food, and strip bark from trees. They can also be used for defense. During times of drought, elephants even use their tusks to dig holes to find water underground. The African elephant is the largest of all elephant species and weighs up to 8 tons. Two genetically different African subspecies exist, and that's the savanna and the forest elephant. They both have a number of characteristics that differentiate them both. Asian elephants differ in several ways from their African relatives, with more than 10 distinct physical differences between them. For example, Asian elephants are smaller than their African cousins, and their ears are smaller compared to the large fan-shaped ears of the African species. Only male Asian elephants have tusks, while both male and female African elephants grow tusks. Led by a matriarch, elephants are organized into complex social structures of females and calves. Also, male elephants tend to live in isolation or in small bachelor groups. A single calf is born to a female once every 4 to 5 years, and after a gestation period of 22 months, the longest of any mammal. Calves are cared for by the entire herd of related females. Female calves may stay with their maternal herd for the rest of their lives, while males leave the herd as they reach puberty. Elephants need extensive land area to survive and meet their ecological needs, which includes food, water, and space. On average, an elephant can feed up to 18 hours and consume hundreds of pounds of plant matter in a single day. As a result, as they lose habitat, they often come into conflict with people in competition for resources. The seeds of many plant species in Central African and Asian forests are dependent on passing through an elephant's digestive tract before they can germinate. It is calculated that at least a third of tree species in Central African forests rely on elephants in this way for distribution of seeds. Elephants help maintain forest and savanna ecosystems for other species and are integrally tied to rich biodiversity. Elephants are important ecosystem engineers. They make pathways in dense forested habitats that allow passage for other animals. An elephant footprint can also enable a microecosystem that when filled with water can provide a home for tadpoles and other organisms. As keystone species, they help maintain biodiversity of the ecosystem as they inhabit. In the savannas, they reduce bush cover to create an environment favorable for a mix of browsing and grazing animals. African elephant populations have fallen from an estimated 12 million a century ago to some 400,000. In recent years, at least 20,000 elephants have been killed in Africa each year for their tusks. African forest elephants have been the worst hit. Their population declined by 62% between 2002 to 2011, and they have lost 30% of their geographical range, with African savanna elephants declining by 30% between 2007 to 2014. This dramatic decline has continued and even escalated, with cumulative losses of up to 90% in some landscapes between 2011 and 2015. Today, the greatest threat to African elephants is wildlife crime, primarily poaching for the illegal ivory trade, while the greatest threat to Asian elephants is habitat loss, which results into human conflict. To reduce this human-wildlife conflict in the long term, WWF works with the governments and other stakeholders to address the root causes of human-elephant conflict, such as habitat loss, fragmentation, and unplanned development. Carol Tumwine, this is the Global Exploration.
Well, elephants are very interesting creatures, especially the fact that they have a lot of unity. Because united we stand, divided we fall. Let's now cross over to the world of business and see the stories there. Now, government of Uganda has been placed in the sanctions bracket by the Common Market for East African and Southern Africa COMESA for failure to pay her annual duties. Uganda's arrears have grown to up to $4.2 million, and efforts to speak with the minister in charge about this matter, Honorable Amelia Chambade, were futile.
After the failure of government of Uganda to pay financial obligations, the country has been placed in the sanctions. The country has been placed in the sanctions bracket by the Common Market of the Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA. Uganda is expected to make annual contributions since it is a member of the Lusaka-based Free Trade Organization, but has not for the past 2 years. As such, the country has been placed in the sanctions bracket since January 2020. In a letter sent by journalists, COMESA Secretary General Mrs. Chelise Mpundu Kapwepwe reminded Uganda's Minister of Trade, Honorable Amelia Chambade, that the country had fallen back on its assessed contributions and was as such placed into the sanctions bracket. This means that all of Uganda's benefits and operations at COMESA have been suspended, as well as the rights and privileges. Some of the changes include the fact that Uganda can no longer address policy organ meetings and her citizens cannot be recruited into the organization. It is confirmed that Uganda's arrears have grown to $4.2 million since the country stopped making contributions in 2019. Chipwepwe also urged the Office of the Minister to consider the invoices positively relating to the contributions for the year 2020 and 2021, as they adversely affecting the operations of the organization. Efforts to reach Minister Amelia Chambade for comments were fruitless, as the mobile numbers were off. Uganda earlier joined the COMESA Free Trade Area in accordance with the National Trade Policy, the National Development Plan and the 2011 NRM Election Manifesto. This prioritized regional integration and enhancing market services for Ugandan goods and services. On the front, it was established that the major impediment to Uganda's deeper penetration of the regional market was her non-membership of the COMESA Free Trade Area. Cara Tumine for Select News.
Technically, Uganda is still a member of COMESA until it pays her dues, and then it will be back to business as usual. Let's take a look at the world of sport. Sports journalists have given their opinions and take on the sacking of the Cranes head coach, that is John McKinstry. This comes days after football governing body FUFA asked him to step aside from his duties.
A few days after Ugandan national football team coach John McKinstry being asked to step aside for a period of 1 month by the football governing body FUFA, in a statement released on Tuesday this week by the executive committee to relieve the gaffer of managing the team for this month that has two crucial qualifying games, various journalists, especially sports journalists in the country, have today laid it all on the table and given their opinions about this act of stepping aside, which is referred to as a sacking according to many. Journalists such as Clive Chaze, Johnny Sempija, Hasif Sechunga gave their personal opinions about the Irishman's indefinite sacking for a month from his duties of the national head team coach.
I think it is a panic move from FUFA. Yes, we might be second in Group B of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, but there is no guarantee that we've probably secured qualification. Many thought that probably by the fourth game, Uganda would have secured qualification, but that loss against South Sudan in Nairobi probably exposed.
John McKinstry, I believe, they really even took long to sack this gentleman. I don't know whether it's a vertical leave or it's an indefinite sacking, but I believe they took long. FUFA took long to take up his tough decisions. Ugandans have longed for this to really happen. I myself have been talking about this. This gentleman didn't deserve to be in the national team. I didn't know his philosophy. I didn't know his targets. I didn't know his intentions. I didn't know his style of play. He was much more of a typical kind of English person.
As a football fan, most probably the Uganda Cranes, I don't feel good about the calling down of Coach McKinstry about to step down for the Uganda Cranes, given the season we are in, given the matches that we still have to play, the players, the bond that the players had fixed between their coach and then between them and their coach. So it means that there is a lot to be done, though it doesn't mean that I don't agree with FUFA preparations, but my disagreement with them is the decision taken at this particular time.
It should be remembered 35-year-old McKinstry from Northern Ireland was appointed as the head coach of the Uganda national football team coach, the Cranes, at the beginning of 2019, replacing Frenchman Sebastien Desabre. But his period as head coach has been characterized with poor performances. Tournaments such as CHAN and AFCON qualifiers, where Uganda has been beaten by South Sudan and drawn so many games to lose so many points. Poor quality of football and lack of philosophy by the team. And his coaching has been discussed in many football corners of Uganda, where his sacking has been inevitable and long overdue due to the poor performances of the national team. McKinstry will await a decision by the FIFA technical team about his job, replacing Frenchman Sebastien Desabre. But his period as head coach has been characterized with poor performances. Tournaments such as CHAN and AFCON qualifiers, where Uganda has been beaten by South Sudan and drawn so many games to lose so many points. Poor quality of football and lack of philosophy by the team. And his coaching has been discussed in many football corners of Uganda, where his sacking has been inevitable and long overdue due to the poor performances of the national team. McKinstry will await a decision by the FIFA technical team about his job. For Select Sports News, Saika.
STV Select for Fun.